a man make mistakes? Is he eligible for redemption? Will it really hurt your spirit to make this one exception? If I did you wrong, am I wrong for doing you wrong? If we get back on and make a promise to get along, would you take me back? My bad, I'm back. Would you take me back? My bad, I'm back.
Yo, what's good? It's your boy, the Big D, aka Knock Real Beats. We back in this thing today. We're gonna talk about some stories and some comments and some things from the divorce Reddit threads, and we gonna see what kind of information we can kind of glean from these situations that we see. It's good for us to try to take in information and make better decisions about which direction we gonna go in. Every single day we seeing some situation that's happening. It's a wild situation. You got like the Anthony Edwards situation right now. I don't know that man business, so I ain't gonna talk about that man business. But all I'm saying, all I know from the headlines and stuff, it looking kind of crazy or whatever, and everybody got their part to play. But we don't got to know all their business. We just got to learn from it. You know what I'm saying? We just got to learn something from it. You know, how do we conduct ourselves as men out here in this world trying to make it happen? So let's jump right in here and see what we got going on here. This first one is from, looks like Relenius in the divorce_men Reddit. He says, is done. So let's see what he's saying here. He's got the tag success stories on it too. So, you know, so it sounds like this might be a good one. It's a short one, but we're going to check it out. So it says, after a year and a half, my divorce was finalized this morning. All right, that's a good thing. The hearing was over Zoom, which is weird. And she took it from her affairs partner's apartment just to annoy me. But I don't care. After a lot of bad days, today is a good one. I am free. And in a surprise move, she's changing her name back. Okay. She won't have the same name as our kids, which was always important to her in the past. Guess people change. Anyways, I'm sitting in a bar enjoying a celebratory drink. It's finally over. All right, good. That's tight. We got to throw up the hands for that and applaud that. Not that we love divorce or whatever, or the breakup of your family or whatever, and taking, you know, both parents away from the kids full time. But we do recognize as men, if you've ever been through this process, you know, like getting to the finish line on it is a good thing, right? Now you open in a different chapter, you start to turn the page on the book, and it's empty. You know what I'm saying? You can write what you want on that chapter of the book. You want to be able to, you know, figure out what your life is going to be like next. And sometimes you got to get rid of that person that's holding you back from being your greater self. Sometimes that person came along to teach you a lesson about how you can conduct yourself, how you can live your life, make you realize the things that you thought you was going to get. You know, maybe you didn't get them, so make you realize that maybe you could pursue that stuff now. So it's good to go out and have a drink. So what did y'all do? Like those of you that got divorced or whatever, or even those of you just broke up a long-term relationship or whatever, what did y'all do? Did you do anything pretty much special or anything like that after you got divorced or the day came? You know, what did y'all do? Write that in the comments. Let me know that you're out here. You know what I'm saying? So tell me what your experience was in the comments or whatever. I know for me, I don't remember doing anything particularly special that particular day. But I know I felt good. I felt good because I was like, yo, this thing is finally over. I mean, she tried to do it, you know, without me knowing that it even happened. I found out like the day before, like, oh, you know, your divorce hearing is tomorrow. I'm like, oh, snap. So I forget how I found out. I don't think she told me. I don't know I think her lawyer told me or something like that. Gave me a heads up or whatever. And I was like, oh, snap. So she tried to do it without me. But we actually went to the court. You know, we had to actually go to the courthouse there in Sanford, Florida to get it done. Which was fine. It was cool or whatever. She was there. I was there. It's crazy because like we just sitting outside the court, you know, waiting on our time or whatever to go inside or whatever. And it was cool. We just sat there, did our, just was prepared for it or whatever. And I didn't have to say nothing. I didn't have to do nothing. I just sat in there or whatever. They called her up to the front or whatever. She went and sat down or whatever. Judge asked her a few questions. I don't think we was in there 10 minutes. And it was like it was over. So, it just kind of went down like that. So I was happy that it was done because I was really ready to move on. I was already interested in doing other things. Like I said, I live here in Rio de Janeiro. That was one thing that was on my mind. I didn't know I was coming to Brazil yet. I thought I was going to like maybe Thailand or whatever. That kind of was on my mind or whatever. I watched videos and stuff about that. I was like, okay, that sounds cool or whatever. Maybe I'll go over there and check that out. I wanted to travel international. So my whole goal was to live 6 months in one place, 6 months in another place, maybe bounce back and forth type thing. That was my whole goal. It's still kind of a goal for me, but now it's like I've kind of put down roots here in Rio and just in a certain way. I got this office, my apartment. I got my girlfriend. She's got her kids that's still in school and all that kind of stuff. So kind of hard to kind of bounce back and forth that way, especially with young ones or whatever. I didn't kind of intend to fall into that situation, but it is what it is. And I'm happy. That's the big thing. It's like, what makes you happy? It's like, I couldn't be happier. I got a block over. I got the beach out there or whatever like that. I could go out there, grab some ice cream, go out to the beach, check people out, whatever. Check out the scenery and all that kind of stuff. I'm happy with my life. So that was kind of my plans. But I see with this situation or whatever, they was on Zoom doing the hearing, which has got to be kind of strange because you're not even really, you're just kind of disconnected from the person that, stood up in the room and married you or whatever, but now you divorcing over Zoom. That's the new technology. That's the way that it works now, I guess. So, and he says he tried to slide him a little bit, taking it from, the place, the dude she was cheating with or whatever, maybe a chick, I don't know, he didn't say, but whoever she was cheating with or whatever, she took the meeting from their apartment, which is crazy too, because it's like, why you ain't taking from your apartment? You know what I mean? Like, why you ain't taking from your apartment? So you try to rub it in his face a little bit, maybe that y'all still together or something like that or whatever. So he don't care about that. That man out having a drink at the bar, man. So he's free. Like he said, he's getting his name back, which is good. I'm not even sure if I got mine back or not. I don't know that she goes by her last name, our last name or whatever like that. I particularly don't care at this moment. I think I cared at one time a little bit, but I ain't seen her in so long. I don't care what you doing out there or whatever like that. It ain't gonna reflect on us and my family or whatever. Just stay away from my peoples. You know what I'm saying? You got your situation or whatever. Move on, do your thing. But yeah, that's this one. So we got through that one really quick. Let's see here. This one says, I think I'm finally getting over the hump. So we're gonna talk about finishing out the situation today. That looked like it's the theme of the day. It says, I've been slowly realizing it, and today confirmed it. I'm no longer attracted to my ex. So y'all tell me, like, you live with this person for a while. You might have been married short time. You might have been married long time. Were you still attracted to her when you split up? Did you still find her attractive and still want to have interactions and things like that? It's like, I can't lie. I still found my ex attractive, afterwards or whatever, but I'm the kind of person I let go. It's like, once I got past a certain point, it was like, it doesn't matter to me at all. It don't matter to me at all. I would see her here or there or whatever in the park or whatever, close to where she lived at. We all lived out in the same area. There was a nice park out there. I was accustomed to running out there like 3 times a week or whatever. That was just the spot to go. Everybody goes there and exercises, and they got jazz shows and all that stuff out there or whatever. Lots of things happen there. People get married out there. All types of stuff happens there. Big lake. It's a man-made lake out there in Florida or whatever. And lots of things happen there. They have the 4th of July celebration there. So it's beautiful. It's a beautiful place. So it's like, I'm not going to stop going because you live close to there or whatever, and I might see you out there. I'm not stopping going, so I had to get used to like, oh, I might run into her. I might see her. And, what am I going to do? It's like I'm going to fold or whatever, or go back to simping and talk about, oh, I wish I could get back with you and all that. Nah, I don't care nothing about that. Matter of fact, one day, now I think about it, one day I did pass her one day, and it was in the middle of the daytime too. I don't know why I was out there. It was early. It was like maybe 2 in the afternoon, something like that or whatever. And I think I was running, stuff like that. And then I was walking. I think I was just looking down or whatever. And I have this thing where I don't look at people's faces like that too close or whatever. I'm a New Yorker, so it's like you don't be looking into people's face too hard, right? So you kind of acknowledge like, okay, somebody's there or whatever. But if I kind of look and I don't really recognize something or whatever, I'll just go on about my business. But I don't know what I was doing. I don't know if I was looking at my phone, adjusting the music. I don't know what I was doing, but I like passed somebody, and it was really just me and that person. I passed this person, and then I heard my name, and I turned around and I looked, and I'm like, damn, if she was trying to kill me, I'd have been dead. I gotta pay attention. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, you gotta kind of recognize that you might run into this person or whatever, and you might still have an attraction for that person or whatever like that. I know I had homies or whatever that, it was an off and on thing. We had one homie that was getting divorced at the same time. It was like 4 of us. One of us wasn't married. The other 3 of us were all getting divorced at the same exact time. So the one homie, he was like the youngest one or whatever, but he was back and forth. His ex, was stepping out with a chick. So I guess she's bisexual or whatever because, she married him or whatever, but she's dealing with a chick. I think the chick kind of turned her out a little bit or something. So then it's like she's staying with the chick, doing their thing or whatever, but then she would still come check him out or whatever. He's still attracted to her or whatever, so they still doing their thing or whatever. So, it could be a situation like that, but, we had conversations. We would have like, every Sunday we would get together, like, especially at my house or whatever, we would get together or whatever, barbecue, throw the beers out, throw the beers in the fridge and all that kind of stuff or whatever, get together, do our thing, and just have conversation. We would hang out, have conversation, plan stuff, do it, but we had a lot of conversation. It was like our therapy sessions or whatever like that. And it was cool. We had a lot of fun with that. It was like they got me through a lot of my post separation and divorce situation or whatever. We just all became a clique because we was just going through it at the same time. And then we had my other guy. I'm not really going to say people's names out here because I don't want to put their names out there. But, I had my other guy who's not married at that time, but his thought process was a little bit different. Everybody had a little different thought process. And we all came from a little bit different places and background, but we shared some shared background too. So it was cool because we was getting ideas and things that we had never thought about. Or maybe we got thinking that in a way that we never thought about it before. So we were able to share all those ideas. So it's good. If you got like a group of friends or whatever, like you can kind of hang out. A lot of times people get hands off or whatever, like, hey, I don't really want to hang out with you or whatever, because they feel a little bit weirded out that you splitting from your partner or whatever. But, if you're in a situation where you got your partners or whatever, they could be good for you, man. Have them come over for a barbecue or whatever and just chat about relationships or whatever. No females or nothing like that. Just the fellas, you know what I'm saying? You gotta have the fellas get together and have real man-to-man conversations or whatever. Open up a little bit and deal with your situation. Not nobody is gonna tell you business though. You gotta be careful of that too. So, keep your circle tight. But our circle was tight. We was definitely good. But yeah, so he said like he's no longer attracted to his ex. He said she came to my house to pick up my daughter this evening after dinner. My son had stayed with her due to school activities, even though it was my week with them. Anyways, we stood outside discussing how future arrangements were going to go due to my son's new activities. And as we talked, I almost subconsciously or not, looking her up and down as if assessing her. Then I just focused in on her face, her appearance. I looked her directly in the eyes when we spoke, and I felt nothing. She was just a person like anyone I would meet on the street. Nothing. No feelings were there suddenly. I didn't miss her. I had no attraction, regrets, yearning, just nothing. I feel good. I like I may have just crossed that border into feeling indifference. That's a good thing. It's a good thing because it shows that you're ready to let go. You're ready to kind of just move on and get your life together the way that you want it to be. and you recognize you don't need her to make your life, good, or to be happy in your life, or to make future plans or whatever. You don't really need her. So yeah, you're sharing the child together and all that. The son is doing his activities or whatever. It's not his fault. Can't take it out on him. So you guys are sharing the parenting responsibilities, and so now you have the opportunity to be in his life but be separate from her. However that situation turned out or however it came about, you handle it like a G. You handle it like a man. You know what I'm saying? It's like now it's like, you kind of looking at the person, it's cool, whatever, you cool or whatever, but I don't have that desire. I'm not expressing that desire. And another thing that helped is finding another woman or somebody, having a love interest, or having your eyes open for somebody. So he don't say that's what happened here or whatever, but he might have seen a thing here and there, a little short, sweet little thing here and there that might have changed his mind a little bit about her. So it's like, it's nothing like nothing replaces old love like new love. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing like that replacement. So I kind of went through it. I had different ones that I had interest in or whatever like that, and I think that helped me to get over the hump too. So this Chopper Bear says in response, "Amen, brother. I'm depressed and will be divorced one day. My wife is an attractive woman, but I'm disgusted by the person she has become, and now all I see is ugly." So I get it. Chopper Bear's in a little different position now. You can see just from these two situations that they're in different positions, right? So it's not a bad thing for you to don't feel bad about where you are in your healing journey. Don't feel bad about, being a little bit angry sometimes. If we wasn't supposed to be angry, we wouldn't have that. We wouldn't have that emotion in us, right? Now, how you act on that anger is a whole other thing. We got to be in control of ourselves as men, right? We want to be in control of ourselves and how we move, right? So we got a lot riding on the decisions that we make. So, but you can't be angry if you cry. You can't be upset if you just don't feel great that particular day. Not every day is going to be good, but you're going to get to a point where she doesn't matter as much to you. Her life doesn't matter as much, and you're going to be able to let go of that protector status. We have that thing as men because it's like, I think that was the thing with me with my ex. With her cheating and living on her own, going out living on her own or whatever, I just felt like, okay, I had signed up to like be a protector for her in a certain way, and she's getting outside of that protection and getting into situations where I can't help you. I can't protect you. Now, if you going off with this dude or that dude or whatever, doing whatever you doing, and he does something to you, I can't protect you. Whereas, before, when we together in a relationship, I'm the protector. I'm looking out for you or whatever. I'm not gonna let nobody do nothing to you. So, how am I supposed to feel now that you're moving outside of that protection and you're still attached to me? Before we got divorced or whatever, we really kind of got divorced. It's like, okay, you're still kind of attached to me, but you're outside of my protection, and I can't really help you if you're putting yourself in situations that might put you in a bad situation. And at some point, I had to let go and just like, look. Hey, she's an adult. If she chooses to do something crazy and it ended up in a bad situation, which fortunately it did not, she's never done that. So I think she kind of cooled out after a while too. She kind of realized like, okay, I got to be careful out here. I'm by myself, like out here or whatever. He's not coming to save me. So she has a decent head on her shoulders. She lost her mind for a little bit, but she got a decent head on her shoulders. So we got to let go of that though. We got to find a way to let go of that feeling that we got to be that protector. We got to be that person that, that keeps this woman safe, So at some points you got to let go, right? You try to get over the hump of that or whatever. And, you just might be in a position where you feel like, everything ain't good. You can have that depression and stuff like that. If you got depression, go get some help. Ain't nothing wrong with asking for some help. There's nothing wrong with going and seeing a doctor or somebody. And a lot of times we're afraid of that. I know as black men, we kind of, we're not really hip to that. I think over the last few years we've kind of grown on us a little bit. We've kind of had discussion about it, but previous to that, our father generation, my father generation, and his father generation, they wasn't going to no therapist. What is this dude gonna tell me about my life? But we got to break that down. We got to break that barrier down. And if we got some depression and things, I've suffered from depression. I have a lot less now than I had in the past. But it's good to talk to somebody. So I would encourage you to go ahead and get that, get that help if you definitely need it. You know what I'm saying? So let's see. Let's go ahead and set up this next one here. Heavy apartment 4237. I've been seeing this number 4237. I don't know a lot, so I don't know. Maybe that's a lot of numbers or something I got to play. But in a divorce Reddit, Heavy Apartment 4237 says, advice I wish I heard earlier. Life after divorce is the tag. It says, I'm 45, a man, 8 months into a separated divorce process. And when I was first heartbroken, my head was flooded with bad internal voices and awful advice like, go beg. Just fake like you're okay with it, whatever. Dumb partner is just going to realize how foolish they are. If you're really mean, they will have to listen. You're worthless without the family you made. All just to name a few, but I'm nothing if not a guy who likes to learn and search for answers, so I started looking at things online that might help. Reddit was one of the first that gave way more good advice than bad, so without telling my story and boring you guys, it's almost exactly like half of you here, I promise. Make some variations in response here and there, and promise I've been there. So I wanted to make a contribution back to you all. Okay, so we're going to talk about a couple of things he talked about here. So he's 8 months in. He's not quite there to the finish line yet. But like he said, at first, you're going to go through that range of emotions. I think we all go through that. We go through that surprise. We go through, just kind of the shock of it or whatever, where, we might not be eating right, or we might not be, feeling like, we want to go to work and all that kind of stuff. You go through that all those phases, right? You go through the angry phase, where, you can't believe like she would do this, you know what I'm saying? And then, you start to come out of that too. And then, you go through other phases trying to figure out who you are. And like, you look at your age and like, damn, can I date anymore? You go through all those phases. So, but he said that, you got those voices in your head. He had those voices too. Like, hey, go beg for your wife back or whatever. Fortunately, I didn't do that after, the second separation, the second cheating incident or whatever. I was pretty much done. Because after the first one, all I told her was like, look, I'm going to forgive you, but you can't do it again. And she did it again. And so at that point, I'm like, okay, this has got to be over. So he said, just fake like you're okay. And your partner's going to realize how foolish they are. But what have we talked about on these shows before, on my channel before? People don't change their mind about the situation, especially women. They're not going to change their mind about the situation, right? Especially if they're the ones who made the decision to get divorced. It's just not going to happen, right? So they're not going to change. They're not going to change their mind. They've made the decision, and so now they got to stand on business with that, and they typically do. Now, if a man tries to get the divorce, the woman might tend to try to hold on a little bit more because it wasn't her decision. She wants to be in a level of control, a lot of times they want to be in a level of control. They want to be able to say, okay, this is my decision and I'm the one who's running this show. And when you take that from them, then that's when they're having these same feelings. Like, oh, I need to go beg him, I need to talk to him and all that. They want you back. But let her do it, man, he ain't gonna change. She ain't gonna change. So, but basically what he's saying is like, listen, he's not gonna go into the whole story or whatever, what happened or whatever. He's like, it's like everybody else's story. We know that they vary, but he says he don't want to get into it. He just wants to make a contribution back. So what is he contributing? Let's see here. He says, if your life has just been ruined or destroyed by someone else's decision to divorce you, see, it's her decision, or you finally have decided to divorce the person you swore your life to, then please remember these following things. The first one is don't listen to your brain after 7 p.m. My sister told me about this. I don't care how cool or tough or alpha you are, after 7 p.m., our brains biologically don't make the same chemicals at the same rate that got us through the day. You will start doubting, hating, and criticizing yourself to the point where you will fall into a valley of depression. Your job at that point is to not go too deep and show yourself some self-compassion. Okay, so this is really good. This is really cool. Thanks to his sister too for bringing that out to him. I don't know all the science behind that or whatever. I don't profess to know anything about that. All I would say is that kind of makes sense. You're getting off work, you're winding down or whatever. You finished all your tasks for the day or whatever. You're at the house and you're not under the same gun that you might be out in the public or out in society, right? You're kind of at home now. Your whole body is kind of winding down to the point where you're going to go to sleep and get your rest, right? So it makes sense that maybe after 7, your brain is just not, built to give you the same, chemicals that you had, during the day or whatever. So this is a good thing. After 7 o'clock, don't think too much. Don't listen to what your brain is telling you or whatever. Don't put too much weight on the things that you're thinking about. Don't be too critical of yourself and all that stuff. And he said that's kind of how you fall into depression. So I really kind of dig like what he's talking about there. So he says your job at that point is not to go too deep and to show yourself some self-compassion. You definitely need to have compassion for yourself. In this situation, we tend to be tough on ourselves as men, and I think that that's not a good thing. So what do you guys think about that? What do you think about his suggestion, that first suggestion about the 7 p.m. thing? I think it's kind of a good thing. Let's see. He goes on number 2. He says the liberals are right. I know we're probably gonna get a little flack for that. He said it. I ain't say it or whatever. I'm not liberal per se. I'm not conservative. I'm conservative in ways. I'm kind of in the middle or whatever like that. It's like I don't give a damn what you do with your life. Whatever you do you. As long as you ain't sleeping in my house, I don't care what you do. But anyway. He says the liberals are right. You have to love yourself to be happy. You do have to love yourself to be happy. At least a little bit. Think about it though. You won't live or live well enough if you hate what you are. That's a deep statement. The rate of suicide in men as a result of a divorce or separation is scary. You need, and I repeat, need to learn some emotional control. Yes. Even better yet, something new. Loving yourself will get you something worth living for. Look up self-compassion. Read about it. Not watch YouTube videos. Which brings me to number 3. Well, watch YouTube videos. Watch all my videos. I don't know what he's talking about. But anyway, but this I think is important, right? As men, I think we kind of hard on ourselves in a way. And I feel like, yeah, man, don't fall into that path that's going to have you snowballing into that depression, and then that's going to wrap you up and roll you almost to the point where you'll commit suicide. It happens, man. This life will put pressure on you. It will put pressure on you. It will put weight upon you and on your shoulders. And if you're not strong, it could break you. Right out here, I don't know if it was this corner or whatever, but one of these tall buildings, like the Othon Hotel is right here. It's a big, tall hotel. It's taller than what's here. I'm on floor 11, and that's got quite a few more floors than what we got. So it's probably 30, 40 floors. And we got a bunch of hotels because that's the beach out there, right? So we got a bunch of hotels in front of the beach. And one day, we was out there or whatever, and some dude jumped. And he jumped from a building or whatever and killed himself or whatever. It happens. So that whole thing, that process that gets you to that point, he's saying have some compassion for yourself. And sometimes you're just being so hard on yourself and having such an expectation of yourself, and you feel like you're not living up to a certain expectation or what people expect you to be. And you might go ahead and, make that choice. And that's not what we want. With the Big D channel, we trying to help you stay away from that. We want you to laugh a little bit. That's why I laugh and I joke here or whatever. I'm not a comedian or nothing, but I try to laugh and joke here and just be a jovial person because maybe it'll uplift somebody. We don't want you getting into that. So check out self-compassion, read some books. If you can't read it like that because our attention spans ain't great, or you don't got time or whatever, you working or whatever, listen to self compassion. Find something on self compassion you can read as an audiobook. Have it play in your car. Find podcasts that help you. Find some podcasts and things, or check out my channel too. We can definitely help each other. 3, he says to read, book read, like on paper. Look it up if you want. I'll allow internet for this. he laying down the law. Reading this way engages all your senses and engages more of your brain, so you'll learn more. Don't care what it is, read. So reading is important, right? It's fundamental. I struggle with that now, I think, because I'm used to watching things on video. We're used to watching now and getting our information that way. I think our physiology is changing because we're given short-term content and all that kind of stuff. I notice how that's changed me. I used to be an avid reader of books. And so it's hard for me now to really concentrate, sit down and just read pages of a book. Now, audiobook, I can do that all day. I put it on and listen to it or whatever. I'm cool with that or whatever. But the actual sitting down and just scanning the page, I notice I don't focus the way that I should. And that might be a problem that a lot of us feel. But like he's saying, read a book, paper books. The conservatives are right too. Okay, so now conservatives, you can throw your hands up and be like, what up? You guys is good too. He talked about the liberals, but now it's the conservatives too. He's giving y'all your props too. Stoicism is a bit of a trap. So remember the first 2 things while doing this, but feeling your feelings and not burying them under drugs and alcohol. I know the drugs is fun and all, but you never grow into a better life if you're stuck in the head being under the influence. Also, drinking and depression don't mix well. See, number 1, you have to get through this. So do a few things. Don't go crazy on social media, please. In the worst case scenario, it's evidence. Just shut the fuck up. Get a therapist. I've seen a few, and anyone that gives you any grief is a chode and should be treated as such. No shame in working through the hurt with a person that walks through that hurt for a living. I've got to get to work. So he's saying, here's what I learned, and thanks for everybody's help. Here's me paying it forward. So I think he really did a great job with this. Shout out to him. I don't know. His name was a bunch of letters and shit. So, there's nothing to pronounce there. But yeah, man, I think this is some really great advice. And the pieces that you want, put that in your tool bag. You ain't got to do everything that he said or whatever, but you got to do what works for you. You're still autonomous. You're still making decisions about your life, but listen to what he's saying a little bit, try to apply some of it or whatever, you're going to be all right. So we covered a bunch today, getting through the situation, how we handle it afterwards, how we might celebrate afterwards, how we might get ourselves together so that, we can push forward and move forward as productive men. I think this show is kind of what the Big D channel is about. These types of topics. I love covering this type of stuff or whatever. I went through a bunch of, weeks where I was sick and all that kind of stuff. I had no energy. I couldn't do nothing. I could barely get out of bed. I didn't eat, nothing like that. But now, after I've kind of come out of that, I'm back on my grind, putting out some content. So I'm doing these once a week, normally releasing on like Wednesdays or whatever like that. But, I don't know. I might do these a little bit more often. I might do them, maybe a couple of times a week, drop videos or whatever. I don't want to drop too many because then the algorithm is like, oh, nobody's watching or whatever, and then it won't push it out. And then I found something else was wrong with my channel. My channel was based here in Brazil, and I switched it over to the United States because, I'm speaking in English. So my audience should be in the United States or maybe Europe, so maybe that's why some of y'all didn't see the videos from the beginning. So I would say go back and watch some of those videos in the beginning, all that kind of stuff. You get a better feel for like where I'm coming from. My first couple videos was telling my story. So, you can see that I've kind of been there and been through some things too, and how I kind of got through my situation. I put that out there too. So if you just get into the channel or whatever, I appreciate you. If you made it this far, I definitely appreciate you. Like, subscribe, put the comments in the bottom there, whatever you feeling, whatever you thinking or whatever, put your comments down there or whatever. And I'll check those out for sure. And, we'll get it in. So, I thank you guys for hanging out with me or whatever. I know I ain't the best at this or whatever in this whole YouTube universe or whatever. And You know, everything ain't 100% perfect, but I'm making an effort. That's all you can ask for, right? It's your boy, the Big D. We out. Peace.
Can a man make mistakes? Is he eligible for redemption? Will it really hurt your spirit to make this one exception? If I did you wrong, am I wrong for doing you wrong? If we get back on and make a promise to get along, would you take me back? My bad, I'm back. Would you take me back? My bad, I'm back.